Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch, words of gallantry streaming.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
I tell you, I'm boomering it all over the place this morning, guys. This is starting off really so screwed up. I'm so sorry. Okay. That was Donald Trump and the J6 Prisons Choir. And the reason why I played them is I just heard about this yesterday afternoon. They'd hit #1 on the Apple iTunes charts. Well, somebody at Apple didn't like that and it pulled them down. Which is, they got a lot of complaints about it, and sooner or later they blamed it on an intern as usual. And well, they put it back up, but of course by that time it had got replaced as the #1 download. So who's in there? We've got Data in there first, of course, then Bubba. Morning, Bubba. Ramen, good morning. And now Badger's popping up. Good morning, Badger. Oh my God, the stuff that has happened. Just the stuff that's happened the past 24 hours, let alone since Friday, is enough. It's enough to make everybody ill. It really is. And the way that it has all been approached. Now, I've got to be careful here. I've got to be extremely careful on how I talk about and what I say, because I am not streaming exclusively on Rumble today, which, as Monkey did last night, I was sorely tempted to do so this morning, was to make this a Rumble exclusive. That way I didn't have to worry about what I was saying. Yeah, you're right, Duck Dog. Is enough to cause a Mormon to start drinking. So I've got a lot to say about what's going on, but I'm going to do my very best to couch this as easily as I possibly can. Okay. And also, just fair warning, today is infusion day. I've got a new nurse coming in today, one who's not used to me streaming. So when she shows up, I'm going to have to end my stream regardless. She's not supposed to get here until 11:30, which would be past my stream time anyway. But If she shows up early, then I'll have to end the stream early. All right. But that's just the way it goes. So let's start off with this. Let's start off with this story. And Idaho passes. Idaho Governor Brad Little signed a bill last week that bans transgender students from using restrooms and locker rooms associated with their identities and requires them to use facilities that align with their sex assigned. God, I hate that. Hate that word. This idea. You weren't assigned a sex. You were born with it. You were born with either a penis or you were born with a vagina. One or the other. No doctor looked down at you and said, "You're going to be a boy." Open your mouth, blew on you, blew in your mouth, and out popped a penis. No doctor looked down at you when you were born and took his little finger and rammed it up between your legs and created a vagina. Hey, afternoon, Fury. How you doing today? The bill says that transgender students who are unwilling or unable to use the wrong bathroom can request a reasonable accommodation in writing. Some of those accommodations, like single person makeshift restrooms, have already been found to violate transgender student rights by federal courts. That's absolutely ridiculous. Now, this is where this bill gets interesting. The bill also allows cisgender students to sue the school districts if they encounter a person of the opposite sex while accessing a public restroom, changing facility, or sleeping quarters designated by the aggrieved student's sex. They'll be entitled to $5,000 for each instance of sharing a facility with a trans student, as well as attorney fees and damages for psychological, emotional, and physical harm suffered. Like being raped in the bathroom by a girl with a penis. Yeah, I know there's more to this law. In other words, the bill will be enforced by lawsuits already against cash-strapped school districts. So, in other words, school districts don't let this nonsense happen. If you've got a penis, you use that restroom. If you have a vagina, you use that restroom. You use that locker room. You use that locker room. You don't like it, too damn bad. That's life. And the only person that it's going to make life hard on, it's not going to make a gay person's life hard. It's not going to make a lesbian's life hard. It's not going to make a bisexual's life hard. It's not going to make a queer person's life hard. The only person whose life, and I'm using person with quotation marks, the only person whose life is going to make hard on them is somebody who wants to pretend to be something they're not. Arkansas and Iowa have already passed similar legislations last week. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds signed a bill banning trans youth from using I love this, signed a bill banning trans youth from using the correct bathrooms. No, signed a bill requiring these youth from to use the correct bathrooms. You see how the media, by the verbiage that they use, spins this story to make people look like they've done the wrong thing. That sentence right there. Signed a bill banning trans youth from using the correct bathrooms. As if it is correct for a man to go into the women's bathroom. As if it's correct for a woman to go into the men's bathroom. This is the way the media spins it. This is how the media tries to manipulate us into thinking the way they want us to think. Morning, old guy. How you doing today? Going skiing tomorrow. I hope it's water skiing and not snow skiing. Yeah, Fury, I knew a young lady that could uh, hit a urinal peeing standing up. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed a bathroom bill that goes beyond what other states are doing and imposes criminal penalties. Someone who uses a public restroom, not just in schools, associated with their gender identity and not their sex assigned at birth, can be charged with a misdemeanor sexual indecency with a child if they know that a child of the opposite sex is present. Wonderful. Perfect. I love it. That stops these perverts from standing outside the bathroom and waiting for a child to walk in there and then follow them in. Oh, I'm a girl. I can go in there too. Bullshit. Title IX, I think, has been these bills could be found to violate federal law. Title IX, which bans discrimination on the basis of sex in education, has been interpreted in banning anti-LGBTQ plus discrimination in schools because it's impossible to discriminate against LGBTQ plus people without taking sex into account. No, it's not. These are the rules. You follow them or you don't. Everybody has to follow the rules. If you have a penis, you go in this room. If you have a vagina, you go in that room. Penises, you don't go into vaginas. Vaginas, you don't go into penis rooms. End of conversation. That don't discriminate against anybody based upon their sex. That treats everybody equal. Snow. Oh. Sean, I agree with you 100% there. Old guy, I identify as young until I try to do something. Then my body reminds me of my age. Let's see. Yeah, I, mm, 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 The trans stuff didn't happen. I mean, you like I've told this before. When I worked at a in the food service industry, and I worked the night shift, we had a trans that came in 2, 3, 4 nights a week. They'd come in, get their stuff to eat and drink, go sit back in the corner, mind their own business, and nobody ever bothered them. One of our young guys went out there to make a pat. Was going told me, "Hey man, that's really cute. I'm gonna go out there and see if I can get her number." And I pulled him to the back room and I said, "No, listen here. Before you go out there, make a fool of yourself. Let you know that's a man. That's a male out there." Well, he started hooping and hollering and screaming and getting all kinds of blustery about it. I tried to calm him down because he was yelling loud enough about what he was going to go out there and kick that person's ass and yada, yada, yada. And I tried to get him calmed down and shut up but by the time I did, the, we lost that person as a customer forever after that. I may have done the wrong thing. I don't know. Maybe I'd done the right thing. But I just try and stop him from getting out there and in a way I'm glad I did stop him because if he would have found out there as violent as he got in the back room with me when I told him, he may have cost us, done some damage out in the lobby. I don't know. But we lost a good customer because of that idiot. No, I didn't care. They never made a pass at me. They came in, they got their stuff, they sat down, they ate. I don't, I may not agree with what you do in your bedroom. I may not agree with who you choose to sleep with or what uh, if you tell me what you like to do in your bedroom and what sexual acts you perform, I may not like it. I may not agree with it. And you're not going to change my mind one way or another. All right. As long as you keep it to yourself, I'm a happy man, and you'll be a happy man. We can be friends. I won't tell you about my things I like to do. You don't tell me about the things you like to do. And let's just keep that to ourselves. All right. But anyway, I think Title IX has been stretched way out of proportion to what it was supposed to be. I really do. I think it's been stretched way out. It is no longer doing what it was meant to do. But part of the reason why we're having all these problems in schools is because of teachers like this guy. Trans non binary high school teacher lets students decide what to call them instead of Mr. or Mrs. The teacher went on TikTok to share a list of titles their students called them instead of Mr. or Miss. Now, I don't know who in the hell this Human Rights Campaign Foundation is. They estimate there's over 2 million transgender, non binary people in the United States. And while the U.S. political system is mounting an attack on trans rights, no, we're not. There are no attacks on trans rights. There are no attacks on trans rights. They have the same rights as everybody else. They have the same rules as everybody else. And it's the rules that they don't like. It's the rules that they have to live by that they don't like when out in public. What they do in the privacy of their own home, nobody cares as long as it's with consenting adults. Nobody cares. It's what they want to do in public that matters. The reality is trans and non-binary people exist in all parts of society as neighbors, friends, and community leaders. And you keep it to yourself. You keep it to yourself. A common gender neutral honorific that could take the place of Mr. or Ms. is the title MX, pronounced mix. You notice how they got rid of Mr. and Mrs.? I remember when Ms. came out because you had Mr., Mrs., and Miss, MISS. For Mrs. for a married female teacher and Miss for an unmarried female teacher. And then the feminists said, well, we need to have Ms. because it's not fair, it's not right that you have one title for all men, regardless if they're married or not, and you have two titles for females, one to if they're married and one if they're not married. You have two honorifics for women. So Ms. was invented. Now they got, well, it's not right to have a gender-based honorific. You've got to, yeah, we just have one, MX, mix. No. You like furry, you like furry, you like redheads, huh? Oh, they changed it to that now, old guy? Miss for a young female, Ms. for unmarried, and Mrs. for married. No, CK, I disagree with you there about them having us by the short. They only have us by the short and curlies if we allow it. They can't do anything to us that we don't allow. We have to start arguing back. We have to start standing up for ourselves. We've got to stop being the ones compromising to the lefties. It's always people like me that's being forced to compromise. Well, what will it hurt you to use this term? What will it hurt you to use that term? What will it hurt you to do this way? Does it really hurt you to do that? When if you don't, that causes me pain. That if you don't use that word, you hurt my feelings. Don't. What kind of animal are you that you're willing to hurt my other people's feelings? That's not very nice of you. And we sit there and say, yeah, okay, you're right. It's not that big of a deal. And look where, by all these compromises that we've done over the years have gotten us. Look to where it's gotten us. It's, we've got to stop the compromising with the left. We've got to start arguing back. We got to start doing that clawback. The government's famous for doing clawbacks. Well, it's time people like me that we need to start doing our own clawbacks. Not only no, but hell no, we're not going to do this. It's not going to happen. That's just it. CK, we're not going to start winning until we stop giving up. We're not going to start winning these battles back. We're not going to start until we get these things back, until we stop giving up and giving ground to them. And tell them we don't give a shit about their feelings anymore. We just don't care. If they want to have their little fee-fees, fine. Don't come to me. Excuse me. I got into an argument with the sales, well, not an argument, a discussion with the salesman the other day. Here's a lesson, guys. Your wife says she wants to go look at new cars. Tell her she can go by herself. You don't. You've got something else that you know you need to be doing. Stick to your guns and let her go by herself. Let her call her friend and go. My wife just caught me giving up what I wanted to do the other day. Just cost me almost 22. It cost me $21,490 in buying her a vehicle, and cost me 7.5 hours of my time that day. But we got to start standing up for ourselves. We got to start telling them no, no. No, that's a, instead of instead of saying, "Well, you're right. It won't. This little thing shouldn't bother me. This little thing shouldn't bother me. That little thing is no big deal." Just start telling them, "No, we're not doing it. You want me to call you Mix? No. You look like a man. I'm going to call you Mister. You look like a woman. I'm going to call you Ms. or Miss. And if you don't like it, too damn bad." Anyway, what get here down here about this teacher? This is the teacher here. Students choose my titles. The high school teacher said that since coming out, a lot of people have asked me if students don't use Mr. or Ms. with me, what do they put in front of my name? The answer is nothing. I don't put anything in front of my name, and the students just call me Flint. But recently, some of my students stayed behind after class and told me they don't like this arrangement anymore. The first title the students came up with me was Captain. Of the title Captain, and I like this because I feel like I'm leading a ship of the Enterprise instead of begging students to care about literature. The next was Sergeant or Sarge because it's masculine and commanding, but I don't think I could be counted on to reliably spell it. If you don't know how to spell sergeant, what are you doing in a literature class? What are you doing as a teacher? Sergeant is not that hard to spell. It's a simple word. The next is Lord. Oh, no, 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 no. Fun and principle, but I think in practice I'd be immediately alarmed if I heard somebody calling their teacher Lord. Fourth is coach, which I do here as a coach for roller derby. But the only thing I actually coach at school is academic decathlon, which I don't think qualifies me for this. The other options would include doc and chief, which Flint said were unquestionably my favorites. Oh, really? Like being called chief, do you? Isn't that a little bit of appropriation? I know that's chef. I teach English and film. My day doesn't deal with food at all, but the absurdity I think is a charm. Flint did note their film students were obsessed with the movie The Menu, which may have inspired the choice of chef as an honorific. A late day entry was your honor, but I think that puts students in defensive position immediately, but sometimes they deserve this guy, this individual, we've got a teacher shortage in this country. We do. But having a teacher shortage is no excuse to have these people having people like this acting like this in our schools. There's no excuse for it. Exactly, Neil. Let's see here. I think I see. I think we should see other people. Eagles. I've been banging this guy for a couple of weeks. I might come down to the case of preggers. Yeah. Fury, the academic decathlon, that was an interesting concept. I didn't know it was still going on. But this is the kind of teacher that we don't need in our schools. The teachers should be told when they go into the class, when they're hired, your students call you this. In the classroom, you're Mr. or Mr. or Mrs. If you're out on the track, the football field, the baseball diamond, then it's coach. End of conversation. Those are the honorifics to be used. You don't get to make up your own. I know I'm a little bit too old school. I'm a little bit too much of a person that I am going at it from the other extreme. Let's look at it from the other extreme here. Uncomfortable students slam school that threaten to punish those who protest trans kids in bathrooms. Nearly 150 students of an Illinois high school lined up to use the nurse's restroom after being told if they were uncomfortable with the school's policy that separates bathrooms on the basis of gender identity, then they could use the single stall unisex bathroom. On March 7th, okay, let's get down here to new information. All right. The school locker rooms and everything, they said people use what they want to use. While a few of the boys went to the school and said, hey, I don't feel comfortable standing there and taking a leak in the urinal and then having some girl walk in on me. Boys went to the administration and said that. Well, the school said, fine. If that makes you uncomfortable, then here's a single stall bathroom. The next day, 150 kids lined up. Well, you can imagine how long it took for 150 kids to line up to go through there. And a lot of them missed class or were tardy for class. So the school came back and said, oh boy, this is a protest. We can't have you people protesting, so we're going to punish you. We want all parents and students to understand that we will not tolerate another significant disruption in school. I make a bet if that was the trans kids doing this, they'd had no problem with it. Students are participating who participated in this disruption today were marked tardy or absent. We understand that a similar plan is in place for Monday. Students who attempt to repeat today's actions will be disciplined for attempting to cause disruption in school. Just standing in line to use the bathroom, which they were told to use, is causing a disruption in school. They're not whooping and hollering. They're not tearing nothing up. They're not destroying anything. They're just standing in line to use the bathroom. To the extent we determined the nurse's office bathroom line was a form of harassment, really? Just standing in line is harassment? Students will be disciplined for their participation in the harassment. Again, if this was the trans kids, if this was gay kids, if this was lesbian kids doing this, the school board would be standing there applauding. They'd be applauding them for standing up for their rights. The media be standing there applauding them. Look how brave they are. But because it's kids who do not want to see a girl walk in on them while they're taking a leak in the urinal, or it's girls who don't want boys walking in on them when they're changing clothes, they're wrong, they're evil, they're bad, they're causing a disruption, and they're harassing the other students. They're harassing that trans student that isn't even there. That trans student is not even in that line. They said that any other act of protest like what they saw the line was to be brought down disciplinary measures. That alone is a violation of our first constitutional rights to peaceful assembly and organize. We're only doing what the administration told us to do, and we get punished for following it, which is unfair. And with everything else I've stated, I'm frankly disappointed with our board and administration with how they handled this. The email only solidified that line, and any other kind of petition or protest is going to be silenced. And if this is the trans kids, if this was the gay kids, if this was black kids protesting something that they felt was hurting them as black students was racially based, they'd be getting applauded. The school would be bending backwards. Oh no, why did we allow this to happen to offend you? But because this was straight kids demanding that they be treated with respect, that they don't have somebody of the opposite sex walk in on them while they're changing clothes or going to the bathroom. They can't have that. That's wrong. You're right, Sean. That would be worthless. Hey, Becca, good morning. The school district alleged that the students and parents, including some who stood in line to use the bathroom, made disparaging comments about transgender students. Alleged. They didn't have any proof of it. They alleged it. The students that are involved in the LGBTQ plus community think negatively towards us in all aspects. While we are peacefully waiting in line to use the restrooms the administration told us we could use, Friday we are being verbally harassed by members. We are called homophobic and transphobic. That's just not true. I'm not scared, nor do I hold any hatred. Quite frankly, I could care less what they do with their body and what they identify as, but it breaches my security, privacy, and sanctity. That's where it crosses the line. Amen. But you see, the problem here they have here, they could assign a restroom or two as trans only or unisex. Anybody can use it. But then, but I don't want to use that one. I want to use this one. It's not fair to make me use that one when I want to use this one. That's the whining they get. And of course, some liberal judges agreed with them. Violating the rights, the sanctity, the security, the privacy of the majority of the students, the majority of the people in the country. Again, it's the minority reaching out for special rights, special privileges, and not accepting responsibility. Yeah, good point there, Fury. What about the parents? What about these parents? School board meeting was held on Monday to field concerns regarding the institutional bathroom policy. Sharon said an email Monday obtained by DCNF. The school district's architects are addressing how the current bathrooms, specifically the men's urinals, can be modified for more privacy and are considering designs for gender neutral bathrooms. Students who protested will continue to use the nurse's office until the district provides a solution. And of course, the Board of Education Administration are committed to creating a common sense approach. Whatever they say common sense approach, you know they're going to go violating the majority's rights. Do you know the majority is going to have to give up? It's like common sense gun control. You got to give up more. You got to give up more to satisfy the wants of the minority. And no, they're not going to be concerned about the safety and privacy for all students when they, because if they were concerned about the safety and privacy of all students, they wouldn't have been allowing, they would not have had the problem to start with. They would not have had to have boys going to the administration and complaining about girls walking in the bathroom while they're standing there urinating. You wouldn't have had that problem to start with if the school had been concerned about the safety and privacy of all students to start with. It wouldn't have happened. Now, I don't understand why it is that we have to spend so much time. There seems to be two subjects I have to spend most of my time talking about, reading about, getting angry about. The southern border and what is happening inside of our schools, especially our elementary, junior high, and high schools. At least at colleges and universities, these are supposed adults going there. But the elementary schools, the middle schools, or junior high schools, or the high schools, these are our children. We should not be having to have these discussions, these type of discussions dealing with our children. It shouldn't be happening. Why is it that these people have to flaunt their lifestyle in front of our children? I don't care if they have their lifestyle. What they do off school property, I don't care. As long as it's legal, I don't care what they do off school property. But why do they have to bring it on school property? Why do they have to do it in front of our children? Our children, not their children, our children. These aren't their children that they're doing this to. This is our children. And why in the hell are we having to sit here and discuss it? Why? Because we let them get away with it to start. We let them start doing it. We didn't push back. Exactly, old guy. Exactly. An 18-year-old adult can't understand a loan agreement, but children can understand the ramifications of destroying their bodies by taking hormone blockers, puberty blockers, and injecting additional estrogen or testosterone into their system and mutilating their body by having body parts cut off and modified at 13 years old. Yeah, it's amazing how the at 18 they can't be held responsible for signing a contract. They can't be held responsible for that. They can't be, you're too young to own a firearm. You're too young to drink a beer at 18. And any contracts you sign at 18, well, the government will let you out of it. But at 13, you're old enough to decide not to allow your body to grow as it naturally should. This is just disgusting. It really and truly is. And just going slightly off field from this, we discussed a little bit about this here a week or so ago. Agatha Christie books, including Hercule Poirot, Miss Marple Mysteries, to be rewritten for modern sensitivities. A number of Agatha Christie novels have been rewritten for modern sensitivities with racist terms removed and passages of text amended. The news comes weeks after books by Ronald Dahl and Ian Fleming were similarly edited following sensitivity reviews. Christie's Poirot Miss Marple Mysteries have undergone edits such that original passages have either been reworked or removed in new editions published by HarperCollins. Boy, I'm glad I've got all these in older books, 20 and 30-year-old books. According to the publication, these new editions were either already released in 2020 or set to be released. Insiders said the editions use the services of sensitivity readers. Oh my God. And I'm sure the sensitivity only ran one way. The Telegraph reports numerous changes in the works from 1920 to 1976, with passages containing descriptions, insults, or references to ethnicity having been altered, particularly for the characters not from the UK. Vocabulary has also been changed. The term Oriental, for example, has been removed, along with other racial descriptors in some instances. In the 1937 Perrault novel, Death on the Nile, a passage describing a black servant as grinning because he understood the needs to stay silent about an incident no longer relays that he is black or smiling. Instead, he is simply nodding. The edits also include amendments made to inner monologues of characters such as Ms. Marple or Hercule Poirot. Hercule Poirot is one of the novels. I read them all when I was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Right after I read my Sherlock Holmes novels, I was reading the Hercule Poirot novels. These are great books to read. No, Fury, I don't want you to tell my great grandchildren about that. Good, good analogy there, Sean. Good analogy. The new fireman from Fahrenheit 451. In a new edition of Miss Marple novel, Caribbean Mystery, the narrator praises a West Indian hotel worker's lovely white teeth. This has been cut along with similar references to beautiful teeth. Having white teeth or beautiful teeth is now racist? Considering the history the English have with teeth, I guess it could be, but still. The same book no longer describes the female character with a torso of black marble such as a sculptor would have enjoyed. A passage in which a character fails to see a black woman in the bushes at night has also been removed. The N word has also been cut in both cases of Christie's prose and the dialogue spoken by her characters. Now, I tell you, I used to work with a guy in Germany, black guy. And if it was not for the reflective tape on his uniforms, we would not have been able to see him. This guy was, he wasn't brown, he was black. Nicest guy. And he used to make a joke about the reason he'd make a joke about the reason why he kept his teeth so white so that we could see him at night. Most of us didn't joke around with him about that kind of stuff, but he made jokes about it all the time. And the death of a Nile, references to the Nubian people have been cut along with the Nubian boatmen, now referred to as the boatmen. Really? Christie's 1920 debut album, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, has been amended such that Hercule Poirot's comment that another character is a Jew, of course, no longer appears. A young woman described as being of a gypsy type is now only referred to as a young woman. Well, that totally destroys the descriptor of the woman, how she's dressed, how she appears, how she presents herself. In a 79 short story collection, Christie wrote of an angry judge with his Indian temper. This now reads His Temper. References to natives have either been replaced with local or removed altogether. Now, her 19 Agatha Christie's books have been previously altered. Her 1939 novel, And Then There Were None, was originally released under another title that included a racist term. It was 10 Little Indians. Hardly a racist term. When we start going back and destroying literature, especially books that have withstood the test of time as being good books, well written books, books that have fired the imagination to meet sensitivities of a minority people, of a minority of the people. We're in trouble. Fury, I grew up, there was a term growing up that we used to call, uh, use smoked Irishman. And I'm sure you're familiar with what that was. So maybe you aren't, because I don't know if that term's even around, allowed to be used anymore. This just, if they're willing to go back and just and rewrite Agatha Christie, to rewrite Ian Fleming, what's, are they going to go back and rewrite? What else are they going to go back and rewrite here? What else are these people going to go back and rewrite and reterm so that it doesn't offend anybody? There is such a thing as understanding that certain books were written at a certain time, and there's terminology, there's descriptors and such that were in use then that aren't in use anymore. But they're part of the language of the book and of that day when they were used, of the setting of that book. If I'm writing a book based in Ireland, then I'm going to research Irish language and the way the words and verbiage of Ireland at that of the particular time era that I'm writing. Same way if I'm writing about Scotland or England or South United States or Western United States or Northeastern United States. Because you've got to make the verbiage and the words match the time period and location. So that the person who is reading that book is being drawn into that book, can immerse himself. And Agatha Christie was one of the great writers, not just a great female writer, but a great writer. I find it offensive. I find it offensive that they go in there and destroy the language of the original script. Are they going to go back and I mean, well, they've already rewritten the Bible. How many different editions of the Bible are there out there now so that some people's sensitivities aren't bruised? That why do we allow them to do this? Why do we allow them to do this to us? When are we going to stand up and say enough is enough? Uh, I'm only going to say one. We do so much based on people's feelings and on the fewest people's feelings. Not on what the majority feel, but on what the fewest people feel. The smallest number feel. The vast majority have to change their way, what they do, because we may offend this one person. 100 people has to change what they say or do to keep from offending the one. Or let me rephrase this, 99 have to change what they say or do to keep from offending one person. But then we also we, we have college professors though, like this guy. Wayne State University suspended a professor who allegedly posted on social media that the people would be justified in killing those with whom they have disagreements. Now, you got to read, if you're going to get all the way through to actually read what he said. It's all the way down here at the very, near the very bottom of this the story. Okay. The post attributed to him, the professor writes about free speech on campus. The Free Press confirmed with two sources the post is the one being scrutinized. The sources spoke on the condition of anonymity because they had not been cleared to talk about the matter. Although I do not advocate violating federal and state criminal codes, I think it is far more admirable to kill a racist, homophobic, or transphobic speaker than it is to shout them down. It goes on to say right-wing groups invite speakers to campuses to provoke a reaction from left-wing groups. Are left-wing groups so sensitive that to have anybody on campus that disagrees with them is a provocation that they have to react to? Don't left-wing groups invite people that they want to hear from? But if a right-wing person objects to it, that right-wing person is at fault. See, this here is the mindset. No matter what happens, the conservative, the right-wing person, the person who disagrees with these people are the people that's wrong. These people do nothing wrong. Nothing they do is wrong. Absolutely nothing. The protesters get blamed instead of the bigoted speaker. The university finds a perfect excuse to side publicly with the racists or phobes. The national and international press has a field day by saying the bigots are the ones being oppressed rather than the people whose bigots are actually hate being the victims of oppression. The Post then cites Shalom Schwarzbad, a Jewish Russian-born French poet, who in 1926 assassinated Simon Petlura, the former head of the Ukrainian People's Republic. Schwarzbad, who lost his family in the 1919 pogroms, held Petlura responsible for the deaths and killed Petlura on a Paris street. Remember that Schwarzbad was acquitted by a jury, which found his actions justified, the Post concluded. So this is a college professor saying that for the greater good, it's okay to kill somebody that disagrees with you. You don't like what they said, for the greater good, it's okay to kill. If that person is a conservative. Not if they're liberal, No. If they're conservative, it's okay to kill. And all he is suspended and allegedly advocating violence. There's no allegedly in there. There's no alleged to that. He actually advocated for violence. Hey, Badger. Yeah, we are done here, old guy. You're right. We are done here. We got college professors advocating for this nonsense. Here we have schools. We have people rewriting books. Some books that are nearly 100 years old, so that they don't and the so that they don't bother modern sensitivities of the left. Okay, we can't offend the right, but shameful. Ruby Bridges films banned from school because white parents feeling some kind of way. Even though the Disney film Ruby Bridges has been shown during Black History Month in Florida's Pinellas County for years, it was recently pulled because a parent was worried it would teach white children about racism that black children faced. Emily Conklin, whose child attends North Shore Elementary, parent, refused to let the students see Ruby Bridges when it was shown earlier this month. Conklin believed the movie was inappropriate for second graders. Second graders here. We're not talking junior high. We're not talking high school. We're talking about second grade students. She made the formal complaint on March 6th, stating that the use of racial epithets and images of white folks who harassed Ruby as she walked into the school will allow white children to see racist history of segregation. I would not want a second grader to see or hear racial epithets. I would not want to expose a second grader to a show dealing with the child being hurt, yelled at, screamed at, or anything else. Age appropriate material. Age appropriate. That's what I've got to say there. This stuff needs to be age appropriate. School officials from Pinellas decided to ban the movie at the St. Petersburg school until a review committee can evaluate it. This is ultimately a result of this is ultimately the result of Florida parents having more say in deciding what their children can see and read in schools. Oh, well. I would not want my second grade son or grandson to see that movie. And before, yes, I did watch this movie. And I tried to watch it thinking about a second grader reading it. I wouldn't want a second grader to to see this movie. There are still some things you need to protect your children from at certain ages. They're not ready to see or hear yet. You're right about that. There is no such thing as equal anymore. It's equitable. You're right. Conklin was one of two parents who refused to let their children watch the movie after the elementary school sent out permission slips, which included a link to the trailer 2 weeks before the movie was shown to classes. At least the school was wise enough, smart enough to send out permission slips first. But again, if they want to rewrite stuff and restrict stuff based upon their sensitivities, why not let it go the other way? These people have to learn. You know, there's the old saying, old guy knows as well as I do. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You can't, if you want, the Democrats should have learned that lesson by now, but it doesn't seem like they have. Liberals should have learned that after what happened with the Supreme Court and the judges there. You start messing with things and it messes back and go circle around and mess with your butt too. But see, these Democrats are all about making things about race and things that divide us. And they've got no problem with violating laws in the name of race equity, or whatever. If they want to if they want to violate the law or the spirit of the law or the principle behind the law, such as equal treatment, nobody gets special privileges because of their race. Nobody gets special privileges because of their gender. You don't go to the head of the line just because you're white. You don't go to the head of the line just because you're black. You're treated equally in front of the government, right? You're supposed to be treated equally in front of the government. DC government seeks to provide housing benefits based on race. The District of Columbia has apparently embraced the notion the government should provide benefits to people based upon their skin color, under the banner of providing equitable outcomes. There's that word, old guy, equitable outcomes. The district has abandoned the principle of equality under the law in favor of a race-based approach. The latest example of this change is the district's drafted Racial Equity Action Plan, the final version of which is expected to be released this spring. The inevitable outcome of this focus on equity is the provision of government benefits based upon race, such as in San Francisco, where a city-appointed reparations committee has recommended providing $5 million in payments to members of a specific racial group. An advisory committee of the District of Columbia has recommended providing government benefits based not on need, but the color of the recipient's skin. The district's Black Home Ownership Strike Force was established. What the hell? Okay. Was established by Mayor Muriel Bowser in 92 or 2022, citing concerns about declining Black home ownership Hauser asked the strike force to develop a plan to produce 20,000 new black homeowners by 2030. How can you produce 20,000 new black homeowners? You can't, and without violating the law. Some of the recommendations, such as legislation to protect homeowners from solicitation and identifying ways to accelerate zoning for home ownership and projects that are race neutral. That's good. Many others are not. The strike force suggests creating a program to aid black homeowners who are unable to pay their mortgages, financial support for black homeowners who wish to rehabilitate their homes, providing home ownership to black home buyers, and utilizing a 10 million black home ownership fund to sell homes to black owner occupant home buyers. You want money? You want to buy a home? Here, we'll give you the money if you're black to buy a home. Oh, you're white and want to buy a home in DC? Nah, never mind. Why are we concerned about black? And if I remember right, the District of Columbia. Let's see here. Okay, what is all right? 22. This doesn't. Good God! Come on, give me some straight answers here, will you please? All right, let's see here. Blacks or African Americans are 50.03% of the population of Washington, D.C. White is 34.81%. Alaskan or Native American is 0.22%. Asian is 3.4%. Pacific Islander 0.4%. And everything else is 2. Latino is 9.1%. And everything else is 2.38%. So why would the majority population in Washington, D.C. be getting handouts to buy property? That's what they're trying to do here. The majority, 50%, the majority. After review by the mayor's office determined the cost and legality of these recommendations, the mayor's proposed budget includes $10 million for the Black Home Ownership Fund and $8 million to support the strike force's recommendations. From here, the budget will be voted on by the DC Council and if passed, submitted to Congress. If Bowser, and I'm not a politician, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge. I'm a simple man who reads the laws as best I can with the best understanding I have and listens to what the judges have to say. And the simple guidelines are is everybody's to be treated the same before the government. No special rules for thee based upon your gender. After all, that's what Title IX was about, right? Isn't everything supposed to be equal treatment before the law, equal treatment before the government? Then why would we write laws or set up programs based upon race or gender? We need to help this person because they're black. We need to help this person because they're Indian. We need to help this person because they're a female. We need to help this person because they're gay. We need to help this person because they are lesbian. We need to help this person because they're confused about what they are. And the only person who gets no help based upon anything is the person condemned by every other group are white men. Black men condemn white men because they're white. Women condemn them because they're men. Gays and bisexuals and transvestites and queers condemn them because they're straight. But they all want the money out of that man's pockets. It just doesn't make good sense to me. And where does all of this accumulate? What is the culmination of all this mess? Yesterday's an example. Yesterday's an example of it. Not the fact that we had a school shooting, but it's the way that the perpetrator, the murderer of this school shooting has been portrayed. Rather than being condemned for going into a school and killing 3 children and 3 adults, rather than being wrongly condemned for it, there are people out there looking for ways to excuse the actions because it was a trans. It is a woman who dressed up as a boy. Now, this woman went to that school as a child, as a very young child, up to 4th grade. And for some reason, that school, being a private Christian school, garnered some particular hate in this woman's soul. So much hate for that school that she went in there with the intention of not coming out alive. She wrote a suicide note and sent it to a friend of hers. But before she did not have the nerve to kill herself. She wanted someone else to kill her for her actions. but she was going to take other people out with her. And she was bound and determined to take out the lives, to go out while taking out the lives of innocent children. Beautiful, innocent little children. Sad thing was, is the person that she sent the note to saying what she was going to do tried to get in touch with the police. 911 operator told her to call the non-emergency line. Non-emergency line said they'd get the police and the police would be out to talk to her about it. She called in the morning before the events happened. The police didn't get out to talk to her until late in the afternoon. Could they have stopped this from happening? Knowing that she was going to go out to do something? I don't know. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. But at least there could have been an effort put forward. Because her letter that she posted to her friend said that she was going to go out doing something and it would make the news. This is what I find despicable. This person evidently needed some help. It's obvious retrospectively, looking back on it, but needed help beyond mutilating their body to make them look like something they weren't. They needed some psychological help. What what it is, what could be done, and is it we need to take away guns? No, it's not. We need to take away guns. Guns is just a tool of the madman, of the criminal. Maybe if there had been a teacher there, if there had been an adult there with a gun, they could have stopped her. There's been people out there describing this person's dress, and the blame game is being thrown out there, because she was wearing a red hat. They're saying that some people out there, well, she was wearing a MAGA style hat. What? Get off of it. Trying to find some way to blame this on anybody except her. The evilness that happened in that Nashville school yesterday, I've got no answer for, except blaming the person that needs to have the blame put on. Are there some other people that should also be blamed? It's possible. Won't know until all the investigations are done. The police say they found another letter besides the one that was posted to the friend. At this point, we don't know everything yet. We never will. The police And the government will keep so much of this locked up tighter in a drum because of what this woman was, what she represents. So it's going to be rough. There's going to be a lot of blame being shifted, and the Democrats are already saying, well, we can't now. We need to try even harder to pass assault gun bills, banning assault guns, banning that gun, banning this gun. It's not the gun that did the killing. It's not the gun that harmed them poor little children. That gun was just a tool. No more than it was the fertilizer and the diesel fuel that blew up the R. Murray building in Oklahoma. Timothy McVeigh. It was the sick mind behind it that did the damage. No, there's a saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you want to go in and hurt people, there's more than one way you can do it. You're not going to stop this kind of violence, this kind of murder by banning tools. Let everybody wants to throw up England. Well, they don't have the mass shootings. No, they have mass stabbings. Knives are illegal in England. So, the evil person, the person who is intent on doing damage, on killing people, on taking out as many people as possible before they get taken out, will find ways to do it. And it's even easier now with the internet the way it is. So, I don't like this new thing that they've done to the mobile app for this. I got a big red heart covering half my uh, area here for the what's being said in chat. But anyway, what time is it here? 10:40. Okay. Here's something. If Bubba is still online, then here's something Bubba, and maybe some of you other guys will see what's happened here. Okay. But I know Bubba and I have experienced this firsthand or know people that it's happened to. Supreme Court takes up case concerning Americans with Disabilities Act tester of hotels. This one is a personal grudge against me. I've got a personal grudge on this one here. All right. Because we've had one of these idiots come in and get us for having a mirror a half of an inch too high. A half of an inch too high. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday agreed to hear a case concerning whether a self-appointed tester of the ADA has the right to sue hotels over alleged violations of the civil rights law. The court was asked to take the case by Accent Hotels, which owns and operates a hotel in coastal Maine. The company was sued by Deborah Lufer, who they say has filed hundreds of lawsuits against hotels across the country, claiming their websites are not in compliance with ADA rules that require hotels to disclose information on how accessible they are to individuals with disabilities. Though Lawford doesn't intend to visit the hotel she's suing, the lawsuits are brought in an effort to force hotels to update their websites to be in compliance with the law. A district court dismissed Lawford's suit against the hotels, ruling she lacked the procedural threshold known as standing needed to bring the lawsuit, but an appeals court later ruled in her favor. Now the justices will decide next term whether she has the right to act as a tester towards hotels she doesn't intend to visit. Now, so she sits at home and she just goes to individual hotels' websites to ensure everything on that website complies with the ADA. What we had, and these are the people I have a particular bone with to chew on. And I would love to make every one of these people live the life that they claim. They came into our hotel, asked for our public restroom. We showed them where it was. It's right there, sir. They walked in, took a tape measure, and found that our mirror was a half an inch too high to meet the ADA requirements. The mirror in the public restroom. Everything else, wheelchair access and everything else, was absolutely perfect. But because of the backsplash that was chosen to go around the sink, the mirror was off by a half an inch. And they filed a $100,000 lawsuit against our hotel. They did that to 9 different hotels within 2-mile radius of the hotel I was in. I worked at. They didn't intend to stay at any of the hotels. They didn't ask to see the handicap room. They just wanted to see the public restroom. That's all. Well, one of their persons stood at the counter pretending to ask rates and everything. The other one walked in the bathroom and took the measurements. Then claimed that they were filing the lawsuit on behalf of brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, someone else who maybe might have one day planned to stay with us and would have to use our public restroom in the lobby. All they were looking for was a quick settlement. They said that they would drop the claim for $50,000. Then eventually they lowered it down to 25 grand. You give us a check for 25 grand, we'll go away and drop the lawsuit against you. They did that to 9 hotels. So think if every hotel, let's just say, gave up 20 grand, 9 hotels gave up 20 grand. That's 180 grand they made that day, or for that 1 or 2 days work that they did in that area. Yeah, ADA website compliance. These people, law firms, one of the numerous testers who have collectively brought thousands of lawsuits under the ADA, a cottage industry that has risen in which uninjured plaintiffs lobbed the ADA lawsuits of questionable merit while using the threats of attorney fees to extract settlement payments. The hotel told the court justices, and that's exactly what it is. They're just looking for a payday for themselves. These laws, and remember, most hotels are franchisee owned. They're not owned by the corporation. The hotels are owned by franchisees. These lawsuits have burdened the small businesses, clogged the judicial system, and undermined executive branch's exclusive authority to enforce federal law. Of course, now they're saying without civil rights advocates such as this plaintiff, there's no enforcement of the ADA. There's parts of the ADA I really like. There really are. And I wish that they would enforce them stronger, such as the service animal. But I also wish the ADA required people with service animals to register the animal with the federal government as a service dog and be given a specific identification for that service dog. Because so many people, because under current ADA, there is no certification. You cannot ask to see certification on the dog. You can't do it. That will end up putting you in the poorhouse, will bankrupt your business just by asking to see that. All you can ask, there's two questions. What is the service it provides for you? Which is basically the question you can ask. You can't ask for any proof. And until that dog, so until you have proof, such as that dog snarling and attacking other guests or barking incessantly, acting in ways that a service dog would not act, you got to put up with it. Now, for hotels, that means for hotels like ours that charge for dogs and pets, we charge for pets to be in the room. All right. We can't charge for that person to have dogs. And I've seen them come in, mom and dad and child, all three have, they got three dogs with them and all three of these are service animals. And once they say that dog is a service animal, you might as well just shut up. You might as well just shut up and accept it. Because to do anything else puts you at legal risk. And the people know it. These scammers know it. That puts the hotel, the restaurant, whatever, at legal risk. Once, all right, or Walmart. That's why you see people walk around with these damn pocket dogs at Walmart, little chihuahua stuck in their purse. And even though Walmart will say, please don't put your dog, animals not allowed in the cart for sanitary reasons, these people will put their dogs in there. You can't tell me what to do. That's my service animal. He has to stay right there. Which is frustrating as hell. No, Ramen, you are not allowed to charge a deposit even for service animals. Now, We charge a deposit on every room. Unless you're okay, we do charge a cash only damage deposit when people check in, uh, unless they've been unless are long term guests. They've been a guest that have stayed with us multiple times, and then we don't charge a refundable cash deposit. So, and people try to say, well, my cat is my service cat. No, cats cannot. This is where the law hurts these people, though, because dogs are the only animals covered as a service animal. Everything else are emotional support, and emotional support animals are not treated the same as service animals. So, your service llama don't count. At best, it's an emotional support animal, and I can tell you, take your llama and ride him away. Nah, it's your emotional support animal, Fury, and we couldn't care less about your emotions. So, I am going to call this. I hope the Congress really does need to sit down and rework the ADA. They really do need to because they there's parts of it that really need to be examined. I believe honestly that if you have a service dog, if because I know several people who have service dogs who need them, and I see their rights abused with that service dog every day. But the reason why they get abused is because of people who abuse the law. These guys would not mind having to have their service dog wear a body harness, says service animal, and make it illegal for any other dog to be wearing that label uh, on their harness or whatever. All right, and to have a card saying that you know this German Shepherd, this uh, collie, this whatever, who answers to the name such and such, is a registered service animal, and don't have to have the animal's picture on it, but something showing that that dog has actually been trained, and to make it a felony to counterfeit them or to claim a service animal protections when you don't have a service animal. And then maybe the people who actually do have service animals will get the treatment and the respect that they deserve for having that service animal. Because the people who abuse the law are hurting the people who need the law. Yeah, well, you can get emotional support, Will. You can get him all day long there, Fury. You just can't bring him into a hotel. Well, your emotional support llama, he may identify as, but until he can bark and stand on his hind legs, a he ain't a German Shepherd. Oh, Badger, you're scary. I don't know if I'd want to spit. I don't want anywhere near a spitting cobra. We had a. I could. I. I swear. I want to hope it was a black racer in my yard the other day. But the thing was, I don't. I could not figure out exactly what it was, and it was out scaring the hell out of my wife. And unfortunately, I had to kill it the other day, but because Florida's got multiple black snakes that are some of them are deadly, some of them aren't. And while I think this one I had in my yard as a black racer, I threw it out of the yard a couple of times, but it kept coming back, so I ended up having to kill it. Mostly because I had my grandson in the yard and the wife was scared to death of it. So I don't like killing animals I don't like want to kill. Okay. All right. Yeah, it was a racer of color. A guidance falcon, cool beans. Sean, I saw a video the other day of a guy in a pond dancing cheek to cheek with a gator. I was like, no, 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 no. No. Gators are too damn quick. I am not getting that close to one. Like blue badger abuse, too many of them. We stopped doing disobeyed parking at events. Oh, blue badge abusers. Okay. Yeah, I mean, people are mean. People are evil, and they will. And this isn't the evil that like the killing at the school shootings or any other kind of mass shooting like this, but abuse things meant to help other people that need assistance for one reason or another, either because they're physically disabled or whatever. Yeah, if that snake just would have stayed out of my yard after when I threw him out the first two times, I'd been happy. Because even venomous snakes serve a purpose. But all right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I've got to get going. My nurse will be here in about 20 minutes. And I get to spend the rest of the day with a needle in my arm. Ooh hoo. Fun, fun, fun. This is a new nurse. I just hope that she can hit the vein on the first try. So, y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Try to stay out of trouble. Be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. And oh, if you're looking for Monkey Stream, he was not on YouTube last night. He was Rumble only because he and Jack went a lot deeper into the shootings than what I did yesterday. All right. So y'all have fun now. If you want, Monkey Stream is almost 4 hour stream. So y'all have fun. Go listen to them. Later.